So the craziest thing that ever happened to me in my agency was actually, I've only owned the agency for about 2.5 years now. But the craziest thing that ever happened was about 2 months ago. I was in my office, I'm up front, and I usually keep the door closed, but I'm very accessible to everyone. And unfortunately, that day I had the door open, and this gentleman walked in the office, and my office manager, Casey, was up front with a lady working on a renter's policy. And this man walks in and says, "Where's Mr. Taylor at?" And he and they says, "Where's Mr. Taylor at?" And I said, "I'm right here." He says, "I'm pissed right now." At first, I'm sitting here at my desk. I thought it was a joke at first. Your phone systems, they're terrible. Excuse me? They're terrible. I've been in business with you for 20 years. I can't even get through to you guys. I mean, he comes in. He says, "You're going to change your phone system. You're going to change it now." So he walks around to the side of my desk, and I'm sitting there thinking, this guy's not kidding me. And then I'm kind of looking him over saying, "I get ready to get shot here." And then I look out, and this poor lady was getting a renter's policy. She's looking back thinking, you could tell she was scared to death. And Casey's looking in my office. My office manager's like, "What's going on there?" So I literally had to stand up. I say, "Sir, you're going to have to back away from my desk right now and calm down a minute." So he backs up, and he just is relentless. And so finally he calms down and he walks out. I looked out, the lady had already gone, and Casey's like, "This guy's a nut." I said, "But he's never done this before in 20 years. Is because we had changed our phone systems per the agency required us to do that. And so we got that changed, and he had to actually go through a phone tree. He's never had to do it before, apparently. And so the poor lady thought she was going to get shot. She left. We lost a policy there, and Casey was getting ready to call 911. So,
whoa!
Oh
my
man,
gosh!
It was nuts. But that's probably one of many I will have. I've had others, but my name is Bryan Taylor with the Bryan Taylor Agency, and I am an insurance dude.
Insurance dudes are on a mission to escape being handcuffed by our agencies.
How? By uncovering the secrets to creating a predictable, consistent, and profitable agency sales machine.
I am Craig Pretzinger.
I am Jason Feldman.
We are agents.
We are insurance dudes.
Right now, while it's fresh in your mind, check out live.teledudes.com.
We took our notes from over 100 interviews with top agents from around the country and made it into a live webcast.
Using these strategies led Craig and I to selling more than $10 million in premium in the last 2 years.
On this call, you'll receive the exact blueprint to get the same results.
Just go to live.teledudes.com to register for this upcoming Tuesday's live call with us.
If you jump on this call with us, we're certain 2022 will be an absolutely fantastic year for you.
See you there.
Woo! Boom!
Oh man,
it was crazy.
It's crazy how fired up people get.
And I look at it, I'm thinking, he obviously had a bad day starting out, because this was like at 10 a.m. And he'd called 3 or 4 times apparently. And I said, and I realized that in the back of my mind, he's probably having a bad day, but there's ways to handle it, and I think, from this past, the funny thing is when I bought the agency back in 2019 of December, it was great. I mean, it was great. And the 2020, doing well. And then this thing called COVID hit. And I really think in people's attitudes and their outlook on life, it seemed to change to the negative side.
Yeah.
And I am blessed with a wonderful staff. My office manager, Casey Glover, she's been here over 12 years. So I inherited her, thank goodness. And then I have a wonderful producer. And I've had, I'm down one. I've had as many as 3, down to 1, and going to actually looking to hire. But the aspect that Casey said, she has, in her 12 years, has never seen people so upset about the littlest things. And that was just a big aspect of the way things seem to go now in any business, but especially people really don't like to pay for their insurance, every month. And you're thinking that we're causing, they can't ever leave us. It's like they have no choice but to stay with us, and they just take it out on my staff or myself a lot of times. But at the end of the day, I'm blessed. I love what I do.
Yeah.
I really do. I came into this a greenhorn doing this opportunity, but I had been wanting to do it for years. And but this opportunity came about, and wouldn't change it for anything.
Well, dive into that.
Yeah. So
tell us the story how you started.
Well, in my previous life, I worked in athletics. I never played, as you can probably tell by my physique here, but I was actually a student manager at Clemson for the football team back in the early 90s. And then actually my first job was University of Tulsa in Oklahoma in the athletic department, and was able to go back to Clemson, worked there for years, and then got out of that. Wanted to actually have a life being, you work 60 hours a week, not making what the head coaches make, obviously football coaches there. And so did that for a while. And then I transitioned into sales, to athletic apparel sales. So I did that for quite a while as a regional manager in the college and pro division for Russell Athletic. And then Russell basically went out of business because they could never compete with the Nike and Under Armours of the world. But I had a great time, and I knew it was kind of going that route. So I'd been wanting to talk to a lot of people I knew that were agents and from different carriers, and really saw a lot of opportunity there for me as a person. But I knew to get into the actual business, I couldn't start a scratch agency because I had a family, children. I need to have a little cash flow. Yeah. And so cash is king. And so after about 5 years, and I finally found an opportunity. And the gentleman who actually we're still good friends. A lot of agents, when they buy an agency, sometimes the deal at the end is not the most amicable thing dealing with the prior agent, but it went great with the two of us, and still friends. He retired, and so I was what they say, dialing for dollars. And and so I was blessed, was able after about 7 months to get the deal solidified and opened up in 2019, and didn't really know. It's funny, and even now I learn every day, as a agency owner. But as I mentioned with my Casey Glover, really leaned a lot on her knowledge and skills. And then I looked at what the former agent was paying her, and I'm thinking, my gosh, I can't believe she's still even here. So in the course of 2.5 years, I've given her 4 pay raises, and I don't plan on stopping there as the agency grows and multiplies, because I see the true value in what she does, and also she's the front line typically. So and that's a big part of our agency is the personalities, but also being available, accessible. And we're right here on Main Street, and we're in in Anderson, South Carolina, and we're right on North Main Street. We, compared to some other agencies, we average about 10 to 15 walk-ins a day, just from a lot of it's service, and then on top of the phone calls, because the agency here, it's been around since the late 60s. So we've had some policyholders that were here before I was born. So and they let me know that too. So, but it's been great. I've been, I love the opportunity and learn something new every day. Being a part of this. Got a long ways to go. Working and I really rely on other agents as mentors, sounding boards to gain knowledge, to keep me from jumping off the roof. Nothing's going right. You hadn't sold anything today, or just whatever could be going on. But at the end of it, it's a marathon. As you guys obviously know, it's not a sprint. And I think it's just taking that bite a day out of what we need to do to grow in a positive way. And so. But that's been I've been fortunate. So
I love how you identified the importance of that really important key person that
Mhm.
kind of holds the glue together, and then
Yeah.
placing a really strong value on that. I think it's easy, especially when it gets tight. Like it can get tight
Yeah.
in this world.
Yes.
To go to
Yes.
this world of, this whole scarcity mentality and pay
Mhm.
people the least amount possible, and all this,
Yeah.
but really compensating somebody,
Mhm.
even though it may cost more, creates a lot
Yes.
of loyalty, and
Yes.
it's also going to get better results. And not to mention
Mhm.
the cost of turnover. Had you lost this person, you'd have a whole different situation.
Oh, no
So-
question. No question. I mean, I knew going into it, for me, especially having no background in the insurance world,
right.
and PNC, going into the aspect of having her there, as I call her, she's my work wife.
Yeah.
I mean, we're attached at the hip here every day, and it enables me to work outside the agency, because part of what I do is able going out into the community. I'm very involved with different things like that, knowing
Right.
that if when I leave, I don't worry about a thing. I mean,
Yeah.
it's going to be taken care of. And if there's a problem, she gives me a call. But my goal is always, my lack thereof of insurance knowledge when I went into it was obviously noted, but my life skills of different jobs and organizations I work with on trying to lead people in the right direction. We're all going to make mistakes, and it's how we overcome those mistakes. If we're doing it in the positive way, I don't necessarily worry about how we make mistakes, but when I hire someone, I always tell them, when you leave here, hopefully it's not for a long time, if they're the right fit, I want you to leave here better than you came. And that's always my goal and mentality, and to help them grow professionally and personally. And so when I look at that, I make sure they have the knowledge. My job is to be in the background. I look at it as, yes, I'm the agency owner. At the end of the day, I'm responsible. My name's on the line, but I want to make sure they have the tools and everything they need to be successful in their job. That's what I got to make sure I provide. And also the training and coaching aspect of the profession that we're all in. And if I can do that and help them grow and put more money in their pocket, then they're going to be more successful. If they're more successful, I am, because I'm only as good as my team, period.
Right.
I tell them that every day. If you're not producing, you're not doing the things necessarily, I'm not successful. And so I really try to make sure that they know that I am here for them. My door's always open, and I'm always accessible. And I love what I do. And some days, you don't want to get up and go in.
Right.
Depending on, it's mentally exhausting. This job here, it's I always look at it. I may be having a bad day or start of the day, but I don't want them to see that in my attitude. I have to suppress that, hold that in, to really let them feed positivity. There's enough negativity going on.
Take us back to one of the earliest wins that kind of fueled that fire that you got.
Yeah. So I really think it was in 2020, we first took over the agency. And I feel like, not necessarily as a group, again, because I don't try not to look at numbers per se daily, even though I do, like everyone else does per se, but I don't dwell on it. But I knew, I guess it was going into the month of February of 2020. I only had it for 3 months, and we had outproduced prior year by $20,000 in premium, which was fantastic. And so I knew I had the right mix of people there, almost, even though one that was there's not with me now. But I felt like just the daily wins of them buying into my philosophy, okay, kind of the direction I want to take the agency. I knew that it was paying off. And I don't know if that's a great example of a win, but I think a win is more of on the consistency of, for me, of what they're doing every day to enhance or grow the agency. And so I felt that in 2020. I mean, I was blessed. I think overall I grew it that first year almost about $500,000, and that with me and two producers and a office manager. And I thought, hey, this is going great. Then 2021 hit. And so, went out with COVID for a month, had to let's put it this way. I never fire anyone, as I tell them at the onset. They fire themselves, and they know what's involved, what's entailed, and I give them probably a longer leash than some agents do, and sometimes probably to my detriment. But that's just the kind of person I am. I'm not a not-for-profit, and so I think it hurt me initially, but yeah, 2021 was a challenge year for me as an agency. I think if I had that in 2020, I probably would have said, "What have I done?" kind of thing.
Right.
But knowing that it can be done, we persevered. Had to study to be a registered rep, and when you're 49 years old and trying to study, have a family, and run an agency, oh boy. That I think my wife was more excited I passed than I was.
Yeah.
Those tests. So, and there was a lot on the line that year. So, based on what they require to have an agency, and so we got through that and got through 21, and we're full steam ahead right now. So, just day by day.
Awesome. What do you do for marketing in your agency?
So marketing. So we have like a contact manager. I bet we have probably 12 to 15, probably about 12,000, leads on there, and that we utilize. That I've garnered and that was able, I purchased when I actually bought the book, and so we do a lot of that. We do a lot of, and referral based is big with us as well. We do a lot of, we ask for the referrals. That's one of the things I challenged my staff to do is ask for that referral, which they don't mind doing, but sometimes you get excited, you get in there, you make the sale, and I forgot to ask for the referral. And so that is something I really push for them to try to grow organically that way. I've done some digital marketing. Locally, kind of strategic digital marketing. And I've actually done some radio ads, and that was pretty successful. It's with the, obviously, we're near Clemson University, so football's king around here, and some big audience. And being that I used to work in athletics, knew a lot of people and knew a lot of people there. So I garnered some good feedback on that aspect of it. Bought some leads, as you guys know, they're hit or miss. I've done transfer calls, and I've never found success in those right now. But a lot of those is really just the leads. We buy leads from our source. Try to keep new ones, so many new ones. That's kind of how I do that. I'm trying to look at some different avenues to do that with. I've actually was on your call last week, learn a little bit about what you guys do on the iDudes there, and trying to disseminate that. I know I'd mentioned before we got on the air, Chad Kish. He's a local agent. We're actually I listened to him a couple of weeks ago, and I started laughing. And Chad's only like 35 minutes from my agency.
That's
but the ironic,
crazy.
yeah, it's crazy. But the ironic thing is we've never met. And so. Because, when COVID hit, we never had any group meetings at all. We still haven't had one. So typically they'd have, meetings with all the agents in a geographic location where you could actually meet the other agents. And that's what I like, because that's where you learn. That's where you learn from your peers. Sorry about the fire trucks going by here. But Chad was big on what you guys are doing, working on, and I learned a lot from him. He's a great agent. He's done very well, and in his business, growing his book.
He's followed the process.
He's followed the process. He sure has. I think he's been doing a good bit longer, but I think he really he's honed his his skills and profession as an agency owner, and to his benefit. And I like learning from those guys. I'm not one of those to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I'm the smartest guy, but I'm what you call a try hard. I'll keep pounding on that wall till I finally break through.
Yeah.
That's kind of me, and I try to hire people that are smarter than me.
Right.
That's my goal. I don't want people, because it doesn't bother me. I want people that are smart and good at what they do. My producer, he never was in it. Clemson grad, 29 years old. I knew he was going to be good. It took him about 4 months. I was patient with him, and man, he's a rock star. Sent him to, I know you mentioned Olson, Craig Wiggins. He's big in the Southeast. I actually invested in him, sent him to training down in Alabama, and he loved it. I mean, I really try to invest in my employees. I don't look at it as a cost. I look at it as an investment. That's what I try to do. So from Chad to really learning from others to training platforms and listening to you guys on your podcast. I mean, to me, that's awesome. I mean, that's where you gain knowledge. You gain little nuggets and try to make them your own to be successful in an agency. I mean, I got a long ways to go to be a Chad Kish, but if you do the right things and you do it strategically, you can get there. I think you have to be smart about doing it. In today's landscape, you have to be real prudent on hiring and how you go about the aspect of growing your agency, because they may want you to do certain things, but how's that going to benefit you as an agency owner? You have to look at business as a whole. Is it the right time to hire? Are you meeting your goals, which we are, or we need to exceed those? But you have to find the right person, the right fit, and to do that. And so that's what I've been more strategic now, more patient about that than I was before, to hire just to hire. And then, I had at one time I had 3 producers, office manager. The 2 producers that I had to let them go. They were remote, great people, but they were terrible. I mean, they just were not. I mean, they just was not for them. They're good people, but it was just not for them. And just because, and they had their license too. I'm looking for folks that necessarily are licensed producers too.
Right.
But if I can invest in them, and they can, just like the one I have now, he's been with me over a year and a half. So, and he's very happy. So
that's what we've learned from the whole Telefunnel process is that just having the right, you don't even necessarily need to have home run hitters. If you plug them into the right system and process, then they crush it. And to one other point that you brought up, I thought it was really, it's interesting how COVID took away a lot of that community aspect. And that's that was part of the reason when we launched everything, to bring everybody together. Like today's call was awesome, having, people from all over the country on it. Just learning, Hey, what are you still doing here?
Well, while you're still here and while it's fresh in your mind, check out live.teledudes.com.
Yeah, if you weren't listening before, we took notes from over 100 interviews with top agents from around the country and made it into a live webcast.
Using these strategies did help Craig and I write over 10 million in premium in the last couple years.
And let me tell you, on this call, you'll receive the exact blueprint to get the very same results.
Again, that's live.teledudes.com to register for this upcoming Tuesday's live call with us.
And if you jump on with us, we are certain 2022 will be an absolutely fantastic year for you.
See you there.